You are now listening to the Business Banter podcast, where top minds in business collide and wisdom is exposed. My name is Jack Kozakowski. I'll be your host for the day. My passion for this podcast is that you walk away better personally and professionally from the amazing stories that are told. Now let's get ready to banter. Super excited today, episode 6 of Business Banter podcast. Thanks for joining us. And today we have Yaniv Mesjedi on the show. He is amazing. He's the CMO of Nextiva. He is one of the youngest CMOs you'll ever meet. Nextiva is doing incredible things when it comes to marketing. So one of the things I wanted to talk to Yaniv about was, if you were in your 20s, what advice would you give to young millennial marketers, Gen Z marketers, that would help them, elevate them, and get them farther in their career so that when they're in their 30s, they can be an executive of a marketing company as well. And we talk about all kinds of different marketing tactics, demand generation, video, and what's going on in the world of B2B, in the world of B2C, how are brands separating themselves from everybody else, and what are a lot of marketers doing wrong. So there's a lot of life lessons here. There's a lot of marketing lessons, a lot of business lessons, and I think you're really going to enjoy this. So let's get ready to banter. Got an awesome guest today for Business Banter with me. This is I don't know, Yaniv, I'm kind of disappointed, and I'm going to let you introduce yourself here, but I'm super disappointed that you're not blasting your personal brand better, because you're like the diamond in the rough CMO that very few people know about. And I hate to say that. Everybody should know who you are.
I appreciate that, but I want everyone to know who Nextiva is. That's what I love, and that's what brings a lot more joy to me is seeing kind of Nextiva grow versus my personal kind of story or brand. But excited to be with you, Jack, and I've always admired you as a marketer as well.
Yeah, but okay, so we're gonna start. I'm gonna give Yaniv 30 seconds to kind of give his credit here, but the idea of this podcast and why I want to have Yaniv on is because I want to focus on what marketers should be doing if they're in their 20s, right? Now, this could apply to everybody, but I think what Yaniv has accomplished as a really young 30-year-old, whatever you are, 32, 33, 34, who cares? But he's young, and he's a CMO of a big company right now. And I just, I want everybody to kind of hear his story and get some wisdom from him on what they should be doing in their 20s, and everybody could apply this. But why don't you give a little bit of your background, Yaniv? 30 seconds.
Yeah. So my name is Yaniv Mesjedi, CMO of Nextiva. Nextiva is a unified business communication company. Essentially, we bring together business phone systems, business phone service with software tools to help businesses prospect, engage with their customers, manage their customer relationships. The business started in 2008 and going on 11 years strong now.
It's wild. Yeah. My wife used to work there, by the way. So
Alicia.
Yeah, I could have I could have the end there, right?
Yeah.
But with that being said, you started in sales, and you were with a really successful company before Nextiva, right?
Yeah. So it's actually an interesting story. I was born and raised in LA. Grew up. High school wasn't for me, so I left high school following my junior year. I always kind of had this belief that I was going to be an attorney. So I was kind of trained or had this belief in my mind that I was going to become a lawyer, and needed a job.
You kind of look like a lawyer, dude.
I may look like it, but I definitely I wouldn't be a good one. I pretty much just needed a job. I was maybe 17 years old. Started working inside sales for a really fast-growing web hosting company out in Santa Monica by the name of iPower.com. I was doing the 6 a.m. to 2:30 a.m. or 2:30 p.m. shift. So I would inside sales role, inbound kind of leads, would try to get them to sign up with hosting, and it was great. It was a really great experience for me because I think sales brings a ton of valuable experience for marketers or pretty much almost any job. And the after like a few months, the marketing manager at that company, out of nowhere, just decided to leave the company. So there was a gap in marketing. Raised my hand. I said, "Hey, let me take this on." I'd never done marketing in my life, but figured I should, take a shot at it. And I was really fortunate to be given the opportunity to be the marketing manager for really a fast growing digital marketing focused business. And something that was really special there was the CEO, Thomas, was he himself is a tremendous marketer. So, being able to kind of be around someone that knows business and knows marketing really well was super valuable. And ultimately, the company grew super fast until it ended up merging with a competitor by the name of Endurance International Group, and then the idea for Nextiva came about around 2006 or so. And when Thomas had the idea for Nextiva, I joined on board.
And were you ultimately the CMO at that point?
Yeah, I mean, when Nextiva started in a tiny office, like I not too far from where our office currently is, but it was like literally like an office the size of a minivan. So, and there were just a few of us. So I was doing customer service, sales, marketing, whatever was needed to help the business grow. And that was really how kind of the marketing function at Nextiva started. And then over the years, the team grew, and now definitely a team well over 50 people.
So that's just your marketing team though.
Yeah. That's just marketing. I think Nextiva as a whole, over 1,000 team members now.
That is wild. So 0 to what, 1,000. So,
yep.
So you do a lot of hiring.
Yep.
And you guys are doing a lot of hiring for marketing. I'm curious because of this idea, because I like to say I'm like the Caitlyn Jenner of like sales and marketing, right? Like, I thought I was one thing, then I figured out I was another. Now I'm just confused.
No. But you're great at sales and marketing.
Well, who knows, right? I hope that I am, because otherwise I won't be making a living. But I think just the argument that I have with a lot of people is that I almost believe that they've become one and the same. Like, there's like very little differentiation. Let's just say lead generation, right? Lead generation and prospecting are the same damn thing with two different names for two different departments, right? But
right.
at the end of the day, I mean, a lead is now a sales conversation. With conversational marketing, you got all this crazy, just new innovation going on. My question to you is, if I was in my 20s, and I wanted, would you start in sales if you wanted to become a marketer?
I would highly suggest that. I think the opportunity to have the sales experience, understand the sales funnel, the sales process, the pains of a customer. If you can be, as a marketer, and look, marketing isn't successful without sales. So as marketers, we can do anything. We can run ads, we can do brands campaigns, you name it. But if people aren't signing up and you're not, keeping customers, everything we're doing is practically pointless. So having that exposure and knowledge to the sales process is super valuable. And as an early marketer, early on in your career, I would say without a doubt, try to get some time working in sales, but never let that stop. I think, like you said, sales and marketing is one and the same. So, whether it's listening to sales calls or even joining salespeople on calls, as marketers, I think we need to be really tight knit and interlocked with the sales team.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. So, what about a salesperson? So, I've got this crazy idea that if inside of our company, we don't have a lot of salespeople, right? But we've got people that do sales and work on the accounts. And one of my thing is, you need to learn marketing before you can learn sales. You need to learn sales before you learn marketing, right?
Yeah.
So you ever have salespeople come in and spend a week in marketing? Have you ever done that?
I've never done that, but you just inspired me, because I actually think that's a great idea. Because, one of the challenges I think marketers traditionally face is, they spend a lot of time thinking, we need to get leads, we need to bring more leads, and it's not easy to bring leads. And we want the leads to be nurtured and treated like gold, but very often, marketers may feel like that's not the case. And if sales can get an understanding of the kind of the struggles or the challenges or the ways marketers work, I think that's mutually beneficial and will help sales be more effective in what they do. So I think both sides need to spend time in each other's shoes.
Well, I mean, it's interesting because if a salesperson came and sat with a marketer and watched him how they set up a Facebook ad, and then for a week watched the lead flow and watched how, there's only so much control sales has, right? Because I mean, I don't think it's hard to get a lead anymore. I would say it's hard to get a qualified lead, right?
Right.
I mean, that's the struggle, right? You got sales complaining to you. So, if sales sat down and looked and said, okay, this is the data that we have. Here's what we're running. I mean, this is wide open, right? This is why you're getting a bunch of crap. This is why you get a bunch of crappy leads, and once in a while you get a good lead. And this is how much it's costing us. I think they would have a little bit more respect for the profession. Now, on the other end, you guys are doing a phenomenal job of actually sitting on sales calls with people. I know Gaetano has just, become kind of obsessed with that.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
that what
That's
do you
been
guys
something
get out
we've
of
been
that?
that's something we've been doing since day one, man. Literally, Jack. Like, and I think it really was something pushed early on at Nextiva, which is we're super passionate about the customer and the customer experience. And regardless of your role, like the best way to really know if you're delivering the right experience is to listen to the calls, or be a part of the calls, and adjust, whether it's your service delivery or your sales process or your marketing, to the customer's needs. And so at Nextiva, I think just as a business, we've had that in our DNA to always be listening to calls and being part. Like, just because you're in marketing doesn't mean you only focus on marketing. You need to know the customer.
But okay, so give me an example of, like, you guys sit on marketing sits on a sales call. What comes out of that? What's an action item? Or give me 2 action items that have come out of you guys in marketing sitting on a sales call, going in a meeting and saying, we're going to change this and this immediately. And what kind of results has that had?
I mean, first, messaging, right? Like, when you hear the words used by a prospect, as a marketer, you start to tailor your language to the same kind of words and kind of language that the prospect is using. You pretty much you speak to them instead of, very often, I think, Nextiva aside, most businesses, we start to become so kind of focused in our industry that we start talking like, or we start writing like, industry speak. We start using complicated language that only technical people or industry experienced people are familiar with. So first and foremost, I think it's just language, and being able to really, speak the same language, whether it's email, ads, white papers, any sort of copy, even video. And then I think another is understanding the buyer kind of journey, how they got to where they, are today, which is on the phone with a salesperson. Which sites did they visit? Really getting to know kind of the research process and the evaluation process, because this as well as I do. Most people don't just learn about a company then pick up the phone and talk to them. They're gonna do research on their own. They're gonna do Google searches. They're gonna go on social. They're gonna talk to people, and understanding that process as a marketer is priceless.
Well, this comes back to the original topic is, if you're in your 20s and you're doing marketing, or you're new and you want to do marketing, there's so many things you have to learn, right? I mean, the whole omni-channel approach. I mean, as a marketer, let's just say go back 5 years ago, you hired generalists in marketing, right? I mean,
Right.
you hired somebody that you could do everything. Now, you don't hire for that. You hire for a specialist, right? So,
Right.
you instead of hiring 2-3 marketers to run your team now you have to have 7 people, because you got to have a videographer, you got to have somebody that does animation, you got to have somebody that does copywriting, you got to have somebody that does SEO. So you've got, all these different positions you got to hire for. If you were going to give advice to somebody that's in their 20s and say, where do you start, right? Which is the most important piece of the pie right now as far as a skill set goes?
So first is obviously like the area of marketing that you're most passionate about, because some people just inherently are going to love marketing technology more than they're going to love, let's say, videography or video production. But without a doubt, I mean, where we see the growth in the future is going to be digital, right? Like, focus as much as you possibly can on digital. And I would, go a bit more specific to even say, the world of content and content creation, and just whether it's articles for a community or articles for an SEO, you know, depending on the business, but demand gen is one area that is immensely valuable because look, if you can, and I think that's something that's definitely helped me in my career is definitely being demand gen oriented, and putting that first is super valuable because, like I said at the beginning, marketing is defined by sales ultimately, and as a marketer in your 20s, if you can focus on supporting sales and driving revenue, bringing leads, that's immensely valuable, and like you said, qualified leads.
Yeah, because what you're seeing kind of with the millennial generation, I'm a late millennial, you're a millennial too, so
technically, yeah.
We can't bash the millennials, right?
No.
I think what we're seeing is there's a lot of content creators, which is great, and that's awesome. But to have marketing as a true career skill, you got to learn how to turn that into a lead, right? Into a sales conversation. So, do you see that with marketers that you've hired and so forth? Like they come in and they're maybe really great at the skill, but they just don't have that like technical ability to think deeper into, okay, great, we created this content, now what's the outcome?
Yeah, I think and I don't know if it's necessarily right to say if it's just like millennials. I think just in general, we tend to, and I think many marketers that I interact with, or I just, I'm friends with, I see very often, we think almost like in the form of like checklists. Like, we finish a task or finish an Asana project or a Jira ticket, whatever it may be. Like we just finish the project and we're done. We rewrite the article and that's it. But the art is in distribution. It's in getting, I mean, you're a star at that, but like, how do you get people to see your content, and how do you continuously, push that and get more eyes on your content? Because distribution is arguably the most important part of the game. A lot of people like to spend time on the content itself, which I think is valuable, but at the end of the day, if no one sees it, it's worthless.
It's amazing how many organizations that we work with that are really good at spending a lot of money and time on content.
Yeah.
We go in there and it's like it's in a vault, right? It's like they've got $250,000 worth of content. They put it into a treasure box and they put a lock on it. And you go, oh my God, there's so much gold in here. And you open the box and you go, okay. And they've hired some crappy social media person. Like, no offense, there's a lot of people that suck at social media, and they've hired sometimes a decent paid ad team, but the paid ad team's always working on trying to sell stagnant ads and get somebody to sign up for a demo or do this. But they take this big box of gold and opened it up and really, really invested time into people that know social media, because exactly what you just said, right? How do you take the same piece of content that's a year old that you spent $20,000 on or $5,000 on writing an ebook? How do you revive it, and how do you turn it into 15 or 20 pieces of content that live for a year?
Yeah, like you said, don't be afraid to use content from the past, whether it's 2 years ago or 6 months ago. But then, like you said, also cutting it up, because there's so many tidbits in gold that you could find in content if you break it out and build an ongoing kind of program around it, rather than just one tweet isn't enough. Well, one post isn't enough.
Well, it's not even that. It's just like one tweet with one image is not enough. You need to make 10 images with 10 different tweets for that one piece of content over time. Right? I mean, I think that's where a lot of our clients, they get stuck. They go, well, we don't have a lot of content. I go, that's great. Well, that's cool. Let our content team chop this one piece up and we'll have 15 tweets for the next week, right? What do you think?
Why do you think that is? I'm curious about that. Why do you think people are so kind of focused on like constantly building like new, or like even having the mindset of we don't have enough content?
Because they don't have the skills, they don't understand it. So they don't. Most marketers don't understand social media, right? Because and a lot of times I think their bandwidth has always been, it's like you, right? Like, you don't really have time as a CMO to go in and figure out the new latest trend in Twitter and stuff. And you almost have to have somebody that's obsessed with that kind of stuff, right? Mm-hmm. Just my opinion. And the other thing is, I think, like you said, it's narrow focus. Like, it's checklist. Okay, we got that blog done. Okay, we tweeted that blog. Good. Now next to the next blog, right?
Right.
Instead of saying, okay, maybe we need to quit blogging and we need to invest our time in taking these last 100 blogs and figuring out how to get these out to the masses. And we really need to put massive paid campaign behind this and see what works, what doesn't. I think the other thing is people get confused because they tweet something out, they share something and it doesn't get a lot of traffic or doesn't get a lot of engagement. They go, okay, that's not working, right?
Right.
They're not A/B testing, a video cut up with Square and transcription, and then they're not doing an animation video to test it with telling a story. They're not, going out and getting a micro influencer to talk about it, right? Or bringing a micro influencer in to, add a testimonial into that blog so that now they can use. So, there's just so many. You got to be such a creative.
Yeah, but I think you brought up a golden point, which is, I think very often we may tweet something or post something and it gets very low engagement, and then we just quickly assume that the content is worthless.
Yeah.
But the beauty or the art is in the repetition and trying and testing, and like you said, new images, new copy. Posting the same thing, but maybe in different ways to increase engagement. Don't just give up after the first attempt.
Yeah, exactly. And use different types of curation and creative to do that, right? I mean, video, animation. I can't tell me any of our clients. I'm like, why aren't we telling a story through animation? We're seeing that right now. That's like the highest engagement rates is anything you do that's animated, right? I mean, you guys are doing I don't know who the hell you guys hired over your video team, but holy crap. If you want to see some really cool animation and like out of the box thinking and ideas, your guys' video team is on fire right now. So
yeah, no, and the crazy thing is it's a pretty small team, but and the team, and they keep coming up with ideas all on their own. They just you kind of leave them to themselves, and they come up with brilliant ideas and they run with it.
I think I'm gonna give a tidbit of my thinking in this. If you're 20 years old, try to figure out how you can do marketing, how you can do something that's 5 years ahead of its time, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's where we're stuck in marketing right now. Is like you go into a company and it's just everything is boring as hell, right? It's like
it's like brochures, white papers, and like
I don't even care about that. It's like boring videos, right? Like
right.
There's no innovation in the way that you do something. I mean,
yeah.
Like,
well, I think Jack, I would actually argue that a lot of that is due to mimicking and copying competitors, right? It's like the safe thing to do is to watch your competitors and then make moves based on almost what they're doing, just a little bit better. But my mentality since day one has been to never look at companies as inspiration, but focus on ourselves and do what we believe is best, and market the way we want to market. And I think that's really important because people love to mimic and copy, and I think it's become super easy to do so as marketers.
Yeah, push the limits, right? Like,
right.
Give your team. I think that's one thing that I know, being friends and have working with your team in the past is, you let people push the limits, right? I mean, you're like,
yeah.
you let creativity flow.
Right.
I don't think a lot of marketers have, salespeople or marketers have a lot of that leeway.
I think as a marketer or a marketing leader, I mean, if you're hiring people, you want to hire them to essentially do what they do best, and give them or foster an environment that allows them to succeed, and just let them run with the ideas. That's how you ultimately support creativity, not just like shooting it down and just forcing people to follow a certain process.
Well, I have a question for you. So we've got about 5 minutes before we're going to wrap this up, but you guys just came out with a video ad that said, the F word and spreadsheets, right? Like,
yeah.
Like I want, I'm curious because right now what you have with a lot of companies is the reason that they can't push that envelope is because their CMO probably won't let them, maybe their legal team. What are your thoughts on that? As a CMO talking to other CMOs, like,
it's when you're using profanity or using, bad language to, whether it's, to speak poorly about a business, a company, or a competitor, I'd never support that. But, we're talking about spreadsheets. Most people don't like spreadsheets. And, why not use, profanity then? I mean, look, the reality is most of us use it at some point. Be comfortable with it. Obviously, do it in a way that's, not super damaging. But I think, look, also when you video ads better than I do, the first 2 seconds, 3 seconds matter most. That ad has been a huge hit for us, that video, purely because of like the first 2 seconds. I mean, you hear her say "fuck spreadsheets" and it gets the attention,
Yeah.
right? So that was the move we took, and it totally paid off.
Is it scary to push something like that as a CMO? I mean,
No,
are you worried about?
no. And probably not, because at the end of the day, I think we've always tried to be as real as possible. Starting with Thomas, like he's got a way that he wants Nextiva to operate, and it's always been real, and why not be real, I guess. So when we build content, whether it's a video or an ad, we're just like, let's do what we think makes sense. Like, I mean, frankly, we had the idea, we ran with it, and we posted it.
What's your thoughts on the future of micro influencers, and how much budget are you going to be putting behind that in the next year?
So, we put no budget there yet. We may want to do so, but
what's the reasoning behind that? Why haven't you invested?
I think in the B2B world, like it hasn't been. I mean, without a doubt, there's value there. I think obviously consumer brands that have definitely been focusing on micro influencers a lot more. I don't know, man. I think it's something that we probably need to jump into. I personally haven't. There's that worry that there's also so much BS and fake out there.
Well, I would say that you guys have used micro influencers. So, I mean, we worked on a campaign with Brian Solis, with the.
Yeah. Oh, Brian's great.
So, like Brian Solis, I mean, you guys have jumped into it. I mean, you guys have also been doing some webinars with what I would say are micro influencers, right?
Yeah.
I think you guys are doing it. I just don't think you're doing it in a paid fashion, because you got lucky with a guy like Gaetano, who's got a lot of connections and gets them for free, right?
yeah, exactly. Gaetano, Jeremy, a bunch of people on the team. They tons of great relationships, and we've been able to nurture those and help Nextiva grow that way. But
you got the hockey team. I mean, your hockey team is a micro influencer. I mean, you guys are doing some things on scale. You're probably just not thinking about it in that.
Probably now that you say that, exactly. We've probably been doing it since day one. We just haven't thought about it as like a micro influencer strategy. Yeah, you're right. We've been doing it since day one. Help each other, right? Like, if we can help Brian, sell more books and get more visibility, that's huge.
All right, so we're coming up to the end. So my last question for you, what's the future of marketing look like? What's next? I mean, as far as lead gen goes, demand gen, what are you excited about, and where are you going to be putting your budget towards?
Yeah, I'm super excited about something that sounds like as kind of traditional as it gets, but the world of SEO and content creation and building organic traffic. Like, I'm a huge fan of, obviously paid is important, but if there's, things we can do to build the brand and generate awareness organically, I'm a huge fan of that. LinkedIn has been great for us. So continue to invest in LinkedIn, not only from a paid ads perspective, but our entire team, getting the entire company engaged. The way I see my job as a marketer at Nextiva isn't to just run ads and run campaigns to get more people to learn about Nextiva, but it's to get the entire company. Like, we have over 1,000 people.
How are you doing that? What's your plan on that? Because that's everybody's trying to figure out how to do that, right?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, it starts with internal communication. Like, I mean, even before that, hiring, that's a key point. But when you're part of the team, I think internal communication, keeping everyone on the same page, and really sharing stories about the business amongst the team, and really getting people just to naturally contribute to the brand is super powerful. By no means are we excellent at that, but I think definitely in the next year, that's a huge area where and for the future, I see as a major opportunity for Nextiva, but any brand.
Well, I'll tell you that one thing I saw that you guys have done to do that was you got lots of people on video, right? I mean, you were talking about, I think it was like the anniversary of Nextiva, and you had your videographer go around and literally interview I mean, I don't know, 20, 30, 40, 50 people are to
Yeah.
give their experience. And you guys posted that all in one day on LinkedIn. And I'm sure that got employees excited, but you guys are like actually investing the marketing time and money into amplifying, individuals.
Yeah, exactly. We call it our LinkedIn takeovers. Essentially, we pick a topic, pick a day, and try to get as many people in the company to post whatever they want on that topic, and then we push it out. And
That's a
those days,
brilliant
man,
idea.
engagement. I mean, in one day, I mean, without a doubt, over 100,000 views across the company through our employee profiles. It's an awesome move.
Yeah, but I doubt that that's not even the upside of it, right? It's more of like getting them excited
Oh yeah,
to be the
yeah,
stars, right? To be
yeah, exactly. Right, rather than using the like one single company profile page.
you say, everybody go like this. Email goes out. We
Exactly.
just posted a new blog. Can you guys all share that?
Because we're all in it together, right? Like we all want to help each other. We all want to help our customers, want to help the company. And that's a great way to team up.
Well, I've always said this: if you have to go pay for the reach and spread of one person in your company, and you had to go pay ads to get that, it would cost you thousands of dollars. Now, if you've got 100 people in your company that turned into marketers, what's the save on your ROI? I mean, like,
Yeah,
it's insane, right?
exactly.
And I mean, everybody wins. So, okay, so I want to leave it, you're a genius, dude. I think
No,
best part about you is you're just like good, cool dude. One time he made me play basketball for like 7 hours against some kids. But
and you hurt your foot, right?
how can people reach out to you? The other thing is, if you are a young marketer and you're in the AZ area, are you guys hiring?
Yeah, exactly. We're always looking to grow our team, but LinkedIn is probably the best way, right? Yaniv Masjedi on LinkedIn, and yeah, that's. But
Cool.
pleasure to join you on this.
Love it, dude. And
Totally admire
I
your
hope
work.
people reach out to you and ask questions because, I mean, you guys I've seen the massive marketing machine that you guys have built. Like it's pretty world class. So if you
Appreciate
if you have
that.
questions, reach out to him. All right. Thanks, Yanni.
Thanks. Take care. Bye.